Watch as the MAGA Republicans' theory about January 6th crumbles in real time.
Are you willing to stand the record that you had no confidential human sources that went into Capitol on January 6th?
As I've said consistently, I'm not going to get into where we have or have not used confidential human sources. I can tell you that if you are asking if the violence at the Capitol on January 6th was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI sources or agents, the answer is no.
No, I didn't ask you that. I asked you, so did you?
Yikes. Now, why is MAGA accusing the FBI of starting the insurrection?
But those J6 warriors, they were warriors, but they were really more than anything else. They're victims of what happened. All they were doing is protesting a rigged election. That's what they were doing. And then the police say, go in, go in, go in, go in. How about Scaffold Joe, the guy on the scaffold? Or how about the big FBI guy or whatever, wherever he comes from? Go on in, everybody, go on in. What a setup that was. What a horrible, horrible thing. And, you know, that blows two ways. That blows two ways, believe me. And we don't want anybody doing something, but what they did to some of those people.
I'd cut a whole lot more. I can name some agencies with 3 letters that I would cut right away, and I think they deserve it, and the American people agree with it.
You would defund the FBI, you would defund DOJ, you would defund the CIA at starts and say, hey, you guys got to come and show us what you're really doing for the American people, not against the American people?
Well, to quote a great man, I would say we need to splinter it into 1,000 pieces, not just the CIA, the FBI, the DOJ. Yeah, they need to be ripped down.
In fact, some Trump supporters want to go further than just defunding the FBI. They want to dismantle it from day one.
What's one thing you'd love to see him do on day one?
My biggest issue is the 2 different systems of justice in this country. I would like to see him appoint somebody, whether it's a cabinet member or just another official in his administration, to put an end to that dual system of justice, break up the FBI if necessary, whatever it takes.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What would breaking up, why would that be something you'd advocate for, breaking up the FBI?
Well, just look at the way Republicans are treated compared to Democrats. I mean, Hunter Biden versus his kids, I mean, they would have thrown them in jail for a traffic ticket, whereas Hunter Biden gets away with everything and they cover for him. It's obvious.
So there's a lot of nonsense going on here. Let's start with January 6th and then get to some of the other stuff. The January 6th thing is a real crazy example of how you gaslight your population. So if you remember when it was happening, or the day of or the day after, or whenever the reporting was first coming out, a lot of people in MAGA and on the right were saying this is Antifa who've put on MAGA clothing and they're attacking the Congress, the Capitol building. Then once they realized that it was actually MAGA folks, then they tried to downplay it by saying they were just tourists. They showed up there and the police opened the doors. They said, just go through. Most of them were peaceful tourists. And a handful of them claimed that they got caught up in the moment and they went in, sorry, you know, no harm, no foul. We didn't mean to scream Hank Mike Pence. We were just, it just came out of our mouth. Sorry about that. So they went from being possibly Antifa to tourists. And then the day of, when Trump actually tells them to go home, they called them patriots. They were patriots, which is very, very, very rich to me, to someone who's of a Middle Eastern background, to see these guys attack the Capitol. You don't call them terrorists, you call them patriots. Okay, fine. All right, call them patriots. Then once they were actually convicted of the crimes, they actually went in front of judges and they were shown to have committed these crimes by entering unlawfully the Capitol. Then MAGA started calling them warriors and hostages. That's the newest term. They're warriors and hostages, as you saw in that one video of Trump saying, you know, it's really bad what they did and the FBI did this to them and they opened the thing and they said, come on in. They're really trying to gaslight America and tell us what we saw, or the world, and tell us what we saw with our own eyes is not what we saw, which is just ridiculous. And if you go back to the original video that we saw, which was that member of Congress that was interrogating the head of the FBI, Secretary Wray, what was happening there was she was saying, did you have any members of the FBI involved? Now, the FBI, it's possible the FBI had people in that crowd doing certain things. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know for sure what the FBI was doing. But I will tell you something. I will guarantee you something right now. If I'm at a rally for whoever and an FBI agent who's undercover is with me and he says, let's storm the Capitol, I'm going to look at the guy and I'm going to be like, yo, I'm good. You go ahead and storm. I'm not going to go in. Why? Because I don't want to break the law. Why? Because I'm not an insurrectionist. Why? Because I'm not a MAGA nut job. So you can't just go in. I don't care who told you to go in. You can't go in and then say, "Oh, someone told me to go in," and then I spread feces all over the walls, and then I went and sat in members of Congress's chairs, and then I yelled, "Hang Mike Pence," and then if I'd captured or found Nancy Pelosi, I probably would have scalped her. You can't say all that. That's just not. That's unacceptable. That's inexcusable. So even if there were members of the FBI undercover as part of somewhere in that crowd, you went in. You are guilty of going in. So let's just get that out of the way. So January 6th was an insurrection led by, goaded on by Donald Trump. He told them, go down to the Capitol, I'll see you there. He and his people, all the people that were trying to turn over that election, were already actively involved with finding fake electors, and their hope was that Mike Pence would allow those fake electors to be counted, and then Donald Trump would have taken control again, and he would have probably declared martial law, and he would have held power as a dictator. That was the plan. So it's a very elaborate plan. So you can't then turn around and say they were warriors and they're falsely being held. That's the most ridiculous nincompoop of an excuse ever. So let's put that out of the way. Then you have that last guy that we just saw who was saying, oh, the FBI and the DOJ and all these guys are weaponized against Republicans. Once again, not true. They just put away this Senator Menendez who was taking bribes from the Egyptians. So commit a crime, do the time. If Donald Trump did not commit these crimes, they would not be going after him. If he did not try to overthrow democracy on January 6th, they would not be going after him. If the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers were not involved in an attempted coup, they would not be in prison right now. If you don't commit a crime, if you don't jaywalk, you ain't getting a jaywalking ticket. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. So this whole Hunter Biden thing, Hunter Biden this, Hunter Biden that, they went after Hunter Biden. And originally they had some deal, and then they threw that out, and they actually took him to court. And we're waiting to see what happens, what kind of sentence he gets. He may end up doing time. And his crime was that he bought a gun while he was using drugs. So different types of crimes. And then they say, well, you know, they were taking money from the Ukrainians and the Chinese. You know how much money the Trump family has taken from foreign governments? It's ridiculous. You can look it up. While they were in the White House, they were getting money up to $7 million worth of money from other governments. And if, by the way, if Hunter Biden was involved in some sort of quid pro quo type of a situation, and if Joe Biden was involved in all that, then bring it down. We are not so delusional on the left that we're going to say, no, you shouldn't try to prosecute or investigate. Investigate, prosecute. Matter of fact, the Republicans tried to investigate, and they came to the conclusion under a special counsel that Joe Biden didn't do anything illegal. So that was a Republican special counsel that said he didn't do anything illegal. So where are we now? We're at a place where Republicans don't even trust other Republicans. MAGA Republicans don't trust other Republicans because if you don't believe their crazy conspiracy theory, you're part of the deep state. That's how they do it. It's just gaslight after gaslight after gaslight. There's no facts. There's no way to talk facts to these people. They think that somehow some fix is in. And by the way, they think that the billionaire from New York who has cheated and stolen his whole life is doing it for them. The billionaire from New York who asked them to keep donating to him. If this guy is really that magnanimous and is really just running to save America, he should tell his supporters, you know what? I'm a multi-billionaire. I don't need your money. Just keep your money. I know you guys have saved up your hard-earned money. Keep it. Instead, he keeps selling them stuff. He's selling them paraphernalia now from the shooting attempt. It's crazy. And they keep buying it. What is wrong with these people? What happened in their childhood that they believe such a deceiver? It's really sad. It's even more sad because we all have friends that are like that. And you throw all the facts at them and they just don't see it. All of that to say, we're in crazy times. We're in the times when Republicans are going after the FBI and the DOJ. By the way, it was Donald Trump who famously tried to get his Internal Revenue Service, his DOJ, and others to do things against his enemies. He famously asked Vladimir Zelensky to go after Biden so that it would hurt him in the 2020 election. He's the guy who's tried to weaponize his administration. And then they just turn around. Anything they accuse someone else of, just take a second, take a deep breath, reflect upon it, and realize that it's just them deflecting their own guilt. That's it. Plain and simple as day, ladies and gentlemen. Please vote. Please vote for Kamala. Don't vote for these crooks. I'm comedian Maz Jobrani. I've got a special on YouTube. It's called The Birds and the Bees. Watch it. If you like it, tell your friends. If you don't like it, keep it to yourselves. Bye.